Hi you guys, today we're going to be making these super cute ruffle shorts. I am going to be using a weight for acrylic yarn. To be specific, I'm using Big Twist. I know my yarn is looking crazy. Let's just act like it doesn't. So we have our yarn. You can use any other yarn, any weight. Just use the corresponding hook size. I will be using a 5mm crochet hook. We'll need scissors, a measuring tape, and a needle. Okay, before we begin, you are going to need two measurements. You are going to need your waist measurement and your hip measurement. We're going to be starting with the waistband, so we'll start with our waist measurement. Now, my waist measurement is 36 inches. However, I know my yarn is going to stretch. Acrylic yarn does stretch, so I would suggest, if you are using a stretchy yarn, to subtract 2 or 3 inches. I don't think I want to use a drawstring on mine, so I'm going to subtract 3 inches to be safe. So I'm going to use 33 inches for my waist. Oops. For my hip measurement is the even number. So I'm just going to subtract 2, I think. No, I lied. I'm going to subtract 3 inches as well and use 41. Okay, if your yarn does not stretch, I would use your exact measurement. But believe me, this acrylic yarn will stretch. I do suggest you subtract at least 2 or 3 inches from your measurement. Okay, we are going to start with our waistband and work our way down. So for our waistband, we're going to start with a slip knot. Okay, and we are going to start with a chain. This chain is going to be the width, so the thickness of our waistband. So I'm going to chain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm gonna do 8, and then we need a turning chain. So we will chain an extra. So 9. Okay, so that's going to be the thickness of my waistband. You can make yours smaller, longer, however. So I did 8 chains plus a turning chain. So 9 chains total. Okay. Now we are going to yarn over. We're going to turn our work and work our way back down the chain. We're going to skip 1. So we'll skip a chain and place a half double crochet into the second chain from the hook. Okay, so we skipped that first chain and went into the second stitch from the hook and placed 1 half double crochet. So now we'll place a half double crochet in each stitch across. So we'll yarn over, insert our hook, pull through, yarn over, pull through 3. Okay, so half double crochet is yarn over, insert your hook, pull through, yarn over, pull through 3. Okay, so I'm going to do that all the way back, and I should have 8 half double crochets when I am finished. Okay. Okay, so I made my way back. I should have 8 half double crochets. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Again, you can do more or less. Just remember, you make a turning chain. Make sure you have the amount of stitches that you chained on the way back. Okay. Now that we're at the end, we're going to chain 1. We're going to turn our work again. This time we're going to be going into the back loops. So you will see it's created these V's. This loop that's closest to you will be the front loop. And this loop back here, these will be the back loops. So we're going to place half double crochets into those back loops. So we'll yarn over into the back loop only, place a half double crochet, yarn over into the back loop only, place a half double crochet, yarn over. Okay, and these shorts are going to be made using only half double crochets. Okay, so the waistband and the body of the shorts. Okay, so we'll continue down, placing half double crochets into the back loops. Again, I should have 8 half double crochets across. Go ahead and count and make sure that you have the same amount. You just don't want to skip any stitches. Okay, so that's round 2 of my waistband. Now again, we will chain 1, turn our work, and again, I'll be doing 8 half double crochets, back loop only, all the way back across. Okay. Okay, there we go. It's round 3. Chain 1, turn, half double crochets, back loop only, and we are literally going to repeat this back and forth until we reach our waist measurement. And this back loop only is what is going to create that rib look. So as you can see, and you'll notice it as it gets bigger, but as you can see, it's creating a ribbing by doing the back loops. Okay, well, I'm gonna go ahead and finish my waistband. Again, we're doing half double crochets, back loop only, chain 1, turn your work, and half double crochet, back loop only. Again, chain 1, turn, and continue. Okay, we're going to continue this until we reach our waist measurement. Again, mine was 33 inches. I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then I will meet you back. Okay, you guys, I'm done with my waistband. So I wanted to show when measuring your waistband, don't just lay your project flat and measure it. You actually want to lightly stretch it to measure. Okay, don't stretch it too much, like crazy, but just lightly stretch it. Okay. When I lightly stretch mine, I'm here. I'm about at my 33 inches. Okay, so now that I've reached my waist measurement, we are going to close our waistband. So make sure it's not twisted. Hold your 2 ends, do it this way. Hold your 2 ends together. Okay, make sure it's not twisted. Okay, and now we're going to slip stitch to close our waistband. So I'm going to go into the back loops of each stitch, so into that back loop, and then into the corresponding stitch on the other side, and pull through all. So into that back loop, into the corresponding stitch, or it's actually your beginning chain. Yarn over, pull through all, and just do that all the way across to close our waistband. Okay, then make sure you get into that last one. That last one's a little harder to see, but there we go. Okay, and then now our waistband is closed. Now chain 1, and then flip your work around. So and that way our seam is on the inside. Okay, and then we will be working on our project in rounds. So at this point, already chained one. Now I'm going to place another half double crochet into that same space. Okay, so right there into that same space. And then into every row around, we're gonna place 2 half double crochets into each space. Now this part, it's a little hard to see your rounds, but there's really no way to mess up on this. We pretty much just need to go all the way around so that we can start working on the body. So do your best to try to go into every row. But again, if you like miss one, because I know it's really hard to see, it's not going to mess up the project. Okay, so just go into every space that you can and place 2 half double crochets. I'll try to show, but regardless, I feel like this part is always a little difficult to see. As long as you are going into the majority of the spaces, we are going to start increasing as we go to get to our hip measurement. So it's not going to mess anything up if this first row is not perfect. Okay, so I'm just placing 2 half double crochets into every space that I can, basically. Okay, it's starting to look like this. Okay, so again, 2 half double crochets into every space, and we're going to do that all the way around until we get back to the beginning of our round. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to continue around. I'll meet you back at the beginning, and then we'll move on to row 2, and I'll show you what we'll do. Okay, so here I am. I'm at the beginning. I'm going to slip stitch into that chain 1 space. Okay, and then that's our first round. Okay, now I'm going to chain 2. Okay, and then we're going to turn our work. And then we're going to be working into the back loops again. So we're going to go into that very first stitch and place a half double crochet. Okay, and then we're going to go into every stitch around. Remember, back loops only. So the inside the V, the loop in the back, we'll place a half double crochet into each space. Okay, and then this time we're only placing 1 half double crochet in each row or in each stitch. So the first row is our first increase row. This next row will be a regular row. So we'll just continue all the way back around, placing 1 half double crochet into each space. Again, back loop only. This is going to create the textured, the rib look that we're going for. Okay, so I just placed my last half double crochet. Now that chain 2 space is not going to count as a stitch, so I'm going to slip stitch into the first half double crochet space. Okay, so from now on, the chain 2 does not count as a stitch, okay? So now, what we're going to do for round 3, you'll notice I have placed my stitch markers already. So what you'll want to do before you move on to round 3 is count the amount of stitches around, and then whatever your number is, which mine was 118. I had 118 stitches around. So I divided 118 by 4, which gave me 29.5. I'm just going to ignore the 5 and use the 29. Okay, so for that, that is going to be the sides where we'll start increasing for our hip. So from our first stitch, I counted 29 stitches, placed a stitch marker, and I counted 29 stitches this way and placed a stitch marker as well. Okay, that is where we are going to increase on our increase rows. Now, I did place my middle stitch as well, which you don't have to do that now. You can do that later when we use it. But I don't want to have to count again, so I did that as well. So to get your middle stitch, you'll take your number of stitches, which again, mine was 118, divide that by 2, and that gave me 59. So from my beginning stitch, I counted 59 stitches and placed my middle stitch marker. You'll see for that I did use a different color. My ends are one color and then my middle is another, just so I don't get confused. But again, you can wait to do your middle stitch. By the time we get there, you will have more stitches around, so you'll just have to count again. Okay. So now we will actually move on to round 3. And round 3 is going to be an increase row. So we're going to continue. We're going to do an increase row, a regular row, increase row, regular row. At this point, every odd row will be an increase row. Row 1 that we did our 2 double crochets in each stitch will count as our first increase row. We just did our first regular row. Now round 3 is going to be an increase row again. So we'll chain 2, turn our work, place a half double crochet into that same stitch. Okay, and then, oops, sorry, I didn't do back loop. My bad. Again, but don't forget back loops. So back loop only into that first stitch. Jeez. Okay, there we go. Okay, so back loop only all the way. So right now we're placing 1 half double crochet into every stitch, into every back loop, all the way until we get to our stitch marker. And then once we get to our stitch marker, I'll show you how we'll increase. Okay, and then here we are. I'm coming up to my stitch marker. So I'm going to take my stitch marker out. And in that stitch where my stitch marker was, again, back loop. This time I'm going to place 3 half double crochets into that same space. So we have 1, 2, 3. Okay, now we'll take our stitch marker and we'll place it into that middle stitch. So we did 3, so we'll do 1, 2, place our stitch marker there, and we have 3. Okay, so for our increases, it's going to be 3 half double crochets into that one space, place our stitch marker back into that middle stitch. Okay, and then now we'll continue around like normal, placing a half double crochet in each stitch. And then next I will be coming up on my my middle stitch where I placed for my middle. We're not going to increase there. So again, you didn't have to put that marker there just yet. And if you did, just remember not to increase right there. We don't want to increase in the middle. That is just a placement for where we are going to split our legs when we get there. again, you can place it, you can count your stitches when it's time to split our legs and then find the middle. I just really don't want to have to count my stitches twice if I don't have to. Okay, so here I am at my other corner. I'm going to take that stitch marker out. Place my 3 half double crochets into that, all into one space. Oops. And then again, we're going to place our stitch marker into that middle stitch. So we did our 3, we'll place it into the second one. Okay, and then we will continue all the way back into the beginning, placing 1 half double crochet into every stitch. Okay, and then here I am at my next round. I'm going to slip stitch into that first half double crochet space. And then which this is completely optional, I'm going to color change at this point. I am going to use 2 colors. I want to do stripes. You do not have to, of course. It's completely optional. And to do that, I'm just going to take my new color, if I can, and pull it through. Chain 2. Tie these 2 together, which I think I'm actually going to do. You don't have to. I usually don't, honestly. But I'm just going to tie them. Now we'll turn our work. And then I'm going to just crochet over my my strings. So into that first stitch, half double crochet. Again, half double crochet. We're doing back loops. And again, this is a non-increase row. It is an even number. So we will not be doing any increases on this round. This will be a regular row. Okay, so I'm coming up to my first stitch marker, and I just wanted to show that we are not doing any increases on this round. We are going to place a half double crochet into that space, and then place our stitch marker right back in. Okay, so no increases. Even rounds, no increase. We're going to alternate. Okay, so we're going to continue this, alternating rows. Every odd row will increase at the hips. And by doing that, we will place 3 half double crochets into each corner, placing our stitch marker into that middle stitch. And we're going to continue our alternating rounds until our project reaches our hip measurement. Now our project is folded in half, so our hip measurement is technically going to be half of our measurement. So mine was 41. So let's see. So I'm not going to measure this to 41, of course, because it's wrapped around. So we're going to do half of that, which is going to be like 20 and a half. So again, don't forget to slightly stretch it, but this is where we'll be measuring. We'll be measuring the body of it. Okay, slightly stretched. So I'm only at about 16 inches. I need to get to about 21, or 20 and a half for me. So half of our hip measurement is what we'll be measuring to. So I'm going to continue my alternating rows until the body of my shorts measures that measurement. So remember, alternating rows, no increase row, and then our increase row. I'll continue until I reach my measurement, and then I'll let you know how many rows I did. Although you may need to do more or less rows depending on your measurement. So I'll let you know how many I did, and then I will show you what to do from there. Okay, so here we are. I have reached my 20.5 inches, so my hip, half of my hip measurement. And when I measured that, I did lightly stretch again. And that got me to the 20.5, about the 20.5 that I need. Okay, so that's how you'll measure that. So that took me, I just did row 10. This pink row was a regular row though. So I finished my last increase row was on my row 9. Now again, yours might be different. Just keep going until you reach your hip measurement. And then we're going to stop our increase rows. We're still going to continue doing regular rows. So we can actually at this point take out our stitch markers that are on our corners because we will no longer be increasing. And then our middle stitch marker will continue. I'll leave that there still. But we'll continue our regular rounds. Now we are working for, which at this point you can take another measurement. You can take your crotch depth, I believe is what this measurement will be called. And that is going to be from where you want your waistband to sit to your crotch. So right before we split our legs. So I am going to wear mine a little higher. I do want them to be like high-waisted shorts. My measurement is going to be a 7 inches. So right now I am at about 6. So I'm going to continue regular rounds until I reach my crotch depth measurement for me, which will be about 7 inches. And then that's when we'll start splitting our legs. So at this point, I'm just going to continue my regular rounds, no increases, just half double crochets in each stitch. And then I will continue that until I've reached my next measurement, so the length before splitting my legs. Once I get there, I'll meet you back, and then I'll show you how we will split and how we'll continue the shorts. Okay, now I know I said my measurement was 7, but it's actually 8. So I'm there now. I'm at my crotch depth measurement. Mine was 8, not 7. So now I'm at 8 inches. And then now that we've reached that measurement, we're going to split our leg. So to do so, I'm going to color change really quick. And then we'll split it. Okay. So to split our leg, we are going to make a chain. I'm going to chain, I think, 10. Let's see. Okay. Okay, so to split our leg, we're going to make a chain. I'm going to chain 10, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, let me measure this and see about how long this is. So unstretched, it's almost about 3 inches. And that's like 2.5 unstretched. Okay, and then what I'm gonna do, I'm now going to flip my work, and then into that middle stitch where we have our stitch marker, that's where we are going to insert our hook and make a slip stitch. Then that way our chain is across. Now at this point, I usually chain one and then I try on my shorts to make sure that this is for one, so make sure it's long enough. Either long enough, make sure it's not too short, make sure it fits comfortably. So I will try it on at this point before I actually move on to my legs. I'm actually going to do that really quick and then we'll move on to the leg. Okay, so my chain of 10 works for me. I color changed, so mine's a little awkward. But when you do slip stitch across, you want to make sure that your chain is not twisted. And then we could take our stitch marker out at this point. Okay. Now we can turn our work. And then we're gonna start by going around one leg, and then we'll do the other leg. So we're gonna do one leg at a time. So I did turn my work, and I'm gonna go back around this way. So to do so, we'll place a half double crochet into that very first stitch. Okay, and we're gonna go all the way around, placing a half double crochet in every back loop, every stitch, just like normal, except this time we're only doing half of our project. So we're only working on a leg at this point. So I'm gonna continue my half double crochets until I get to the stitch before my chain. Okay, now you did not have to color change. I am doing this color change, so I have these extra. You may not have that if you're not doing color changes, or if your color change is not right here for the split. But either way, same process. I'm going to continue around. I'll meet you back before we get to the chain, and then I will tell you what to do there. Okay, so I just placed a half double crochet into the stitch before my chain. Now we are just going to place one half double crochet into every space of our chain. Bear with me, I'm trying to weave in my ends as I go. But yes, at this point we will just place a half double crochet into every space of every chain that we created. So I had created 10, so I should have 10 half double crochets across. I'm sorry if it's hard to see. I am trying to crochet over my ends, but I'm just placing a half double crochet into every chain space. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and cut this down. Get rid of that. Okay, now it should be easier to show you guys. So just half double crochet into every chain space. Don't forget the very first one. You can count how many. So I know I did 10 chains, so I should have had 10 there. Okay. And then now I'm going to slip stitch into the very first half double crochet. Okay, so we just did row 1 of the leg, and now we're working on a leg. Okay, so chain 2, and then same pattern as before, turn your work, half double crochet into back loops, every stitch, just like before. So same exact pattern as before now. Literally no increases, no nothing, just half double crochets into every stitch. Slip stitch into our first half double crochet, chain 2, turn and continue. And now at this point, for this leg, we will continue this until we've reached the length that we would like our shorts. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to finish this leg and then I'll meet you at the end of this leg. And then I'll show how we'll start our next leg. Okay, you guys, so here I am at the end of my round. I've reached the length I want for my shorts. I'm going to close off the round by making my slip stitch into the first half double crochet. And then now we will start our ruffle. So to do so, we will chain 3. And in that same space, that first stitch, we'll place 2 double crochets. Okay, and now in every stitch around, we're going to place 3 double crochets. So 3 double crochets into every stitch. Okay, this is going to start creating that ruffle. Okay, so this time we are doing double crochets. So yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. We're going to be doing 3 double crochets in each stitch. Okay, and you will see that it's starting to create a ruffle. The more we go, the more we'll notice, but it's starting to create a ruffle. So we're going to continue this, placing 2 double crochets in every stitch all the way around until we get back to the very beginning, back to our chain 3 space. So I'm going to go ahead and complete my ruffle round. So again, 3 double crochets in each space, and I'll meet you guys back at the end. Okay, I'm at the end of my first ruffle round. I'm placing 3 double crochets into the last space. Okay, and then to finish off the round, I'm going to slip stitch into the first double crochet space. So slip stitch. Then you can add another round to your ruffle if you want your ruffle to be bigger or more ruffly. I am going to leave it at 1. So I'm going to chain 1 and cut my yarn. If you did want to do another round, you would just chain 3 at this point and then continue with 2 double crochets into that same space and go around again, placing 3 double crochets into every stitch, or you can do 2 double crochets in every stitch if you don't want too big of a ruffle, but I do just want a small ruffle at the end. Okay, and now we have one leg is complete. Okay, so now to begin our second leg, we're going to turn our work. We're going to start at the back, at the seam. I'm going to start by making a slip knot to attach our yarn. Okay, and then we're going to go to the back. Right here down the seam, you'll see where we did our chain, and there's most likely a little gap. There's a gap that's bigger than the rest right here. So I'm actually going to attach my yarn into that gap. So attach your yarn, chain 2. I'm going to yarn over my tail here, and we're going to work across. So first we're going to place a half double crochet into that same space, into that gap. Try to make it as small as we can, which is why we are going to start in there. And then now we're going to go across the chain, and to do so, you're just going to go into every chain space. It's a little hard to see, but just go into every space as previous. And place a half double crochet. Okay, so I'm just placing a half double crochet into my chain spaces from when I split my leg. Sorry, I'm having a hard time here. Okay, sure, we went to that last one, and then I'm actually going to cut my tail here, just my little extra tail that I was going over. Okay, and then now we will continue like normal. There is a space right here, or go into the very first. Make sure you don't skip the first one because you don't want a gap. So make sure you're going into the very first stitch of our regular rows. Okay, we're just going to place half double crochets in the back loops just like before. Okay, so we're going to continue the same pattern. We're doing half double crochets, back loop only, all the way around. Now that we've done our chain, it's literally going to be the same as before. All the way to the end, we're going to chain 2, turn our work, and do half double crochets, back loop all the way across. So we're repeating the same pattern, same as the other leg. Make sure for this leg you do the same amount of rows that you did for the other. I'm going to go ahead and do that. And then once you've finished your second leg, once you have the same amount of rows as the other, go ahead, do your ruffle row the same way as before, which we did a chain 3 and we did 3 double crochets into every stitch around. Okay, so just do what you did for the other leg, and I will meet you back at the end. Okay, there we go. I finished my second leg. So you're just going to repeat what we did for the first leg on the second. You're going to want to do the same amount of rounds and then add your ruffle. When you're finished, just weave in all of your ends, and then we are done. At this point, if you'd like, you could add a drawstring. It is optional. I'm not going to for mine, but we are done. I hope that tutorial was helpful. Let me know in the comments what you'd like to see next. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye!